You know what a buzzword is out there? Manifestation. Ooh, mystical. I use manifestation interchangeably with goals. Yes, there's nuances, but hey, we only got time for 3 techniques in this video. Unlike goals that have a lot of force energy behind it, I gravitate towards manifestation techniques and methods because they feel more natural, more go with the flow, not as much pressure. And goals are great, but sometimes having them can make you hate the process a bit if they're too rigid. So with that said, here are my 3 techniques that I'm still using to this day. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Try one of these out, and I think you'll get some results from it. I'll tell you the technique in a minute, but we have to take a detour and talk about why we're even doing this first. This book is all about creativity and unleashing yours. Whether you want to be an actor, whether you want to make more money, whether you want to be a better version of yourself, it takes a type of creative energy. In the book, Julia Cameron talks about how there's no such thing as a bad artist or a good artist. There's just such thing as a blocked or an unblocked artist. When you look at people who have a high output, they have gotten rid of their subconscious blocks, the voice in their head that tells them, that sucks, you're too young, you're too old, everyone's judging you. And they don't have that, they just create. And in the volume of creating, they get better and better and better at the craft. In this way, creating is less about the ideas and more about opening yourself as a portal for source energy to flow through you. Whether it's humans that get created in 9 months in a womb, whether it's people who mirror this through architecture, designs, creating something seemingly from scratch to the building you're living in right now, entrepreneurs who create things and the tools that we use to this day, like the platform you're watching me on right now, you have to allow yourself to create. And if you're going to be an artist, you have to allow yourself to be a bad artist at first. So one of the techniques in the book is about minimizing the chatter in your mind so that you actually have the space and the breath to create. It's called morning pages. The idea behind morning pages is to spend a few minutes each morning writing down exactly what's on your mind without worrying about punctuation, grammar, or how you sound. So every morning I've been getting up and for 20 minutes I've been writing in my journal, longhand, stream of consciousness writing. I haven't been doing it that long, but what I've found is that throughout the day, just getting all your fears, your judgments, your internal self-chatter, subconscious blurts, she calls it, out on paper, it's way easier to create and go about your day with ease. An analogy here that I think fits very well, let's just imagine you have a dirty bottle of swamp water, like the muckiest Florida swamp water you can imagine. Well, if you shake it up, it's gonna be brown, you can't really see anything. But if you let it sit for long enough, all the sediment is gonna float to the bottom and you're gonna have the muck, you're gonna have the water. Stillness and letting it do nothing and just letting it be for a brief moment clears the muckiness and you can see through it. I think your brain works the same way. So having a place where you can process and get everything on a page is that process of distilling the muck, the internal doubts, subconscious chatter, programming 1.0 you, and letting it out, letting it float to the bottom. And what you're left with is your pure creative potential at the top. So I have found morning pages very useful, and it's something I'm going to be doing this year in the foreseeable future. This technique is on something you may have heard of, but I want to talk about it in a way that's new. Affirmations are positive statements that can help change your thought patterns and beliefs. They're often used to promote positive self-talk and change your outlook on life. Examples range from simple affirmations like I love myself, I'm worthy, I am enough, to more complex ones like I'm committed to living in a beautiful state at all times. We have a few videos with some of my favorites on this channel. The idea is that saying these long enough, either in written form or out loud, these affirmations throughout the day actually start to become your beliefs. Now look, I'll be real with you. Affirmations can be extremely useful, but they can also be a giant waste of time. There's a right way and a wrong way to use affirmations. The wrong way is just to make a giant list of like 20 or 30 of them and say them every single day. A lot of people go about that and they do that, and the reason they're not seeing results or they don't feel natural is because they didn't write them. They're not unique to them. So what I have found this year moving forward is to only say affirmations that are unique and organic to me. And I'd recommend you do this as well. Here's what I've found works. You might want to write this down and more importantly, do it. The first step is just start to take an inventory of your negative self-talk throughout the day. What are your common negative beliefs that you're telling yourself? I'm too old, too young, I look stupid, people are judging me, I don't deserve love, etc. Step number 2 is to try and trace those back to a core story. Your brain doesn't just have random beliefs in there. You weren't born with the belief you don't deserve love, you're not worthy. You pick it up somewhere. So step number 2 is to look at your life and think about your past events and where you started picking up some of these beliefs. Step number 3 is to look at that story and try and find the root word of it. I'll give you an example. Let's just say you had a really bad breakup and it left you feeling vulnerable, trust issues, and that you didn't deserve love at the core. Take that story and at the root is unloved. Now, writing affirmations on self-love would now benefit you because you're combating the lack of that you feel. Does that make sense? But someone who already loves themselves doesn't need to say they love themselves 20 times a day. Someone who already feels confident, yeah, it's a waste of time to look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. But if you trace it back to a time where you got up in front of the class or you had to give a presentation and you totally bombed and everyone gave you negative feedback, or you thought you could just sense that you were bombing, it left you feeling unconfident, then yeah, saying I'm confident in a way and writing your own affirmation around confidence, the root word that you're struggling with, would benefit you. So technique number 2 is affirmations, but not in the way that most people use them. Using custom affirmations for specifically what you're going through and what you need to shift out of with your negative self-talk, that is the most effective way to use them. There's an old self-improvement saying that you need to begin with the end in mind. The premise is really solid. Think of the end results and reverse engineer backwards. Most people do the opposite. They think of where they are and how they're gonna get somewhere. What you need to do is think of the end result and chunk it down backwards to where you are now. I've been using a form of this for a decade and it works great. I used to live in Seattle and it was cold and gloomy. My vitamin D levels were like in the 20s. It was pretty nuts. Even though my business was doing decent, I knew it could do better and I felt like my environment was blocking me. And so what I did wasn't to write a list of 20 goals. I sat down in my meditation every morning and I would try and play a movie of my dream life. And at first it was fuzzy. What don't I want? This crammed little apartment that I'm paying $600 a month for, and I don't have much space to sprawl out. The ceiling probably has black mold and asbestos. What do I want? Started picturing a dream house or a dream location. I want a relationship, I want a dog, I want a family. Now here's where this technique gets cool. Start compiling that into a single frame. You know how movies have scenes? Create a scene for yourself with your ideal life. And so every morning I started going through my meditation and I would just play the tape backwards of my dream life in 18 months to 5 years from now. And I would flash forward the end result in mind. And I would step out of my car, walk into my house. I would open the door. It was warm outside. I had a dog run up to greet me. I had a relationship with a beautiful woman. I'd walk into my office, I'd sit down, I'd see 1 million YouTube subscribers, and I'd get on a group coaching call with a program that I'm running and helping people change their lives. Some form of that image I would play back every single day, sitting there in my meditation, just visualizing it. So for you, this technique is to create some sort of dream day, scene in a movie for yourself and revisit that every single day. Doesn't have to take long. Could be 3 minutes, could be 2 minutes, could be 5 minutes, as deep as you want to go. One tip here when you're visualizing is try and get as much detail as you can with your senses. Most people are only using 1, maybe 2 senses. Let's see if we can do it. Smell, taste, touch, hear, feel. Past the 2nd grade. Try and use all 5. Don't just try to see it, but try to hear the birds chirping outside your house. Try to feel the sun on your skin. Try to smell the candles lit when you walk into your house. Try to taste the meal that you're gonna be eating, maybe at a steakhouse with your friends because you can afford it. God knows I couldn't in my 20s. I didn't hit a proper steakhouse till I was like 26. Creating some sort of mental movie, mental scene for yourself, I have found very useful, and it's something I still use to this day. One thing that's even better than that is creating a manifesto. This is where you literally design a dream character. So you don't just create a scene, you create a dream character of who you want to be. And when you do this, you're able to shift into that identity. We literally give you step-by-step this in our metamorphic program of how to do this, because that's a really tough part, is like, well, how do I actually make that happen? I'm blanking. I don't even know what my life would look like in 5 years. You want to reinvent yourself. This is the way to do it. It's literally like my life's work. I've spent 10 years designing just that manifesto piece. If you want our help designing that dream version of you, I'll link down below where you can talk to one of our coaches for free. In our Metamorphic program, they'll hear more about your story, what's working, what's not working, where you want to be, and see if we can genuinely help you. And if we can, we're happy to talk details on what that would look like. We've been talking a lot about your dream life, so what I'll do now is link up a video right here on how to design it. Perfect follow-up to this video, builds on everything we're talking about, and I know this will help you even more. I'll see you in that video.